You know, when you're at the grocery store staring at that wall of beef, what do you really know about where it came from? Today, we're flipping that script. We're going to uncover the story of a very different kind of beef, a premium American Wagyu from a place called 3C Joppa Cattle Company, where the story behind the beef is just as important as the beef itself. I mean, think about it for a second. That package of beef you picked up last week, you probably know more about the company that made your phone than the farm that raised your dinner. And that's the problem, right? When it's all anonymous, you're not just losing the story, you're losing out on quality, on nutrition, and for sure on taste. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if there was a place where every steak had a story, a real history? Well, that place exists. It's called 3C Joppa Cattle Company, and they're operating on the historic Bryson Ranch down in Joppa, Texas. And this isn't some new startup, folks. This is a promise that's been kept for 5 generations. Yeah, that number, 5. It's kind of the whole story, isn't it? We're talking about 5 generations of a family on the exact same land, passing down everything they know. That's more than a century of expertise. You just can't buy that. It's a kind of dedication you almost never see in modern agriculture. And leading the charge for this 5th generation, that's Jeff Charlton. And get this, his title is Chief Beef Slinger. I love that. It tells you everything you need to know, right? He's not some CEO in a boardroom. He's the guy boots on the ground, making sure every single piece of beef that leaves his ranch is perfect. And here it is, his promise, straight from him. You see, when the chief beef slinger himself tells you he's delivering from his pasture to your platter, that's not just some marketing line. That is a personal guarantee, backed by generations of family pride. Okay, so you've got this amazing legacy, this deep history, but that's only half the story. What's really cool about 3C Joppa is how they blend that old school wisdom with some seriously smart modern science. Let's get into how they're basically creating the perfect steak. All right, this is where it gets really interesting. It all starts with the genetics. They're creating what's called an F1 cross. So that's 50% full-blood Japanese Wagyu, that's where you get that insane buttery marbling, and 50% registered Angus, which brings that incredible beefy flavor. But here's the thing, they don't just hope for the best. They use DNA analysis and something called EPD data. Think of it like a genetic roadmap to breed for the perfect traits like marbling and ribeye area. They are quite literally engineering a more delicious, tender, and juicy steak from the very beginning. And their focus on quality doesn't just start with the cattle, it starts with the ground itself. I mean, literally, they use regenerative ranching. And the idea is actually pretty simple. If you have healthy soil, you get healthy grass. And healthy grass, that makes for healthy and way better tasting beef. So they do things like rotational grazing. This lets all those amazing native Texas grasses, we're talking big blue stem, they call it the king of the prairie, it lets them flourish. So they're not just raising cattle, they're improving the land. It's this beautiful, sustainable cycle. And this is so, so important. How an animal is raised directly, and I mean directly, impacts the quality of the meat you eat. Stress is bad for flavor. It's a scientific fact. So at 3C Joppa, the cattle are just happy. They're out in open pastures, living a low-stress life, drinking natural spring-fed water. And they get absolutely 0 antibiotics, 0 hormones, 0 synthetic junk. And look, doing it this way, it's not just the right ethical thing to do, it's the secret ingredient for amazing beef. All right, so we've got the perfect genetics, we've got happy cows on healthy land, but how do you take all that potential and turn it into that perfect melt-in-your-mouth steak? Well, this is where we move from the science of ranching to the art of creating flavor. It's really a 3-step process to get to that level of perfection. So, step 1, the cattle spend their lives on that amazing native Texas pasture, building a really solid flavor base. Step 2 is the finishing process. For at least 120 days, they're put on a special non-GMO grain diet. This is what creates that incredible rich marbling that Wagyu is known for. And then, step 3, the final touch, the beef is aged for 14 to 21 days. This step is crucial. It deepens the flavor and makes the beef unbelievably tender. And listen, when I say a special diet, I'm not kidding. This isn't just some generic feed from a bag. We're talking about a balanced, all-natural, non-GMO mix of things like brewer's rolled barley and cracked corn, plus top-notch haze. It really is like sending the cattle to a culinary finishing school. It's this final diet that builds that signature buttery flavor and texture that just screams luxury. So does all this work actually pay off? Well, don't just take my word for it. Look at this quote from a doctor, of all people. He called it a, quote, benchmark experience, a truly life-changing piece of beef. I mean, wow, life-changing. That's what happens when you pour that much care and science and history into something. It stops being just a meal and becomes an experience. Okay, so we've walked through the whole journey, from the family history to the final aging process. Let's pull it all together now and really spell out what makes this beef so different from everything else out there. So, what are you actually getting on your plate? First off, the taste is just unparalleled. You get that rich, dense marbling and a flavor that's been described as a profound, beefy richness. But here's the crazy part. It's actually better for you too. It's naturally high in healthy fats like omega-3s and loaded with nutrients like iron and zinc. So you get this incredibly delicious, indulgent experience that's also genuinely nourishing. That's the ultimate win-win. And this is how it gets to you, the final product. It's processed with incredible care, vacuum sealed to lock in all that flavor and freshness. So when a package from 3C Joppa shows up at your house, you're not just unboxing some steaks. You're unboxing that entire story. The 5 generations, the science, the art, all perfectly preserved and ready for your grill. Okay, this chart really breaks it down, doesn't it? Let's just look at the 2 columns. On one side, you've got your typical grocery store beef. You have no idea about the genetics. It was probably raised in a feedlot on GMOs, and the trust factor is, well, it's 0. You don't know the first thing about it. Then you look at 3C Joppa. Elite genetics you know all about. Raised humanely on open pastures, finished on a clean, natural diet. And the trust? It's 100%. You know the rancher's name is Jeff Charlton. You know exactly how he does things. They even guarantee you'll be satisfied. It's not even a fair comparison, right? It's a totally different approach to food. So there you have it, the whole story. The 5 generations of tradition, the incredible science, the artistry, everything that goes into creating this beef. The only question left is, are you ready to actually taste that difference? Because once you know the story behind your food, it doesn't just make you feel better about eating it, it makes it taste a whole lot better too.